Hey, welcome back to the fourth and final week of 21 Days of Fresh Manna. I'm Richard Roberts, your host, and all this comes to you courtesy of Victory Christian Church in Canada's best kept secret and best kept small town, Port Perry, Ontario. Well, this has been an amazing 3 weeks so far. We've covered a lot of territory, from the kingdom and how that works to God's purpose and plan. We've talked about the new apostolic era and church reformation, about Sabbath rest, becoming love, and all of last week about becoming Christ-like. Man, I think I should be giving you guys a diploma or something. Anyway, I do have something really special for you this week. This is Supernatural Week, and it's something I've wanted to do for a long time because, well, frankly, if you took the supernatural foundation stones out of Christianity, there wouldn't be much left to hold up the faith. I mean, we believe in an unseen God whose son came here via a virgin birth, performed all kinds of miracles, and then was resurrected from the dead. We believe our prayers are answered, sometimes through the granting of spiritual gifts. We believe that God can heal broken and disease-ridden bodies. Many Christians spend much of their time in actual two-way conversations with God, sometimes in an unknown language called tongues. Oh yeah, and then there's the matter of the Holy Spirit. And I'm not even going into casting out demons. I tell you, there are many Christians, though, today, they go to church, they pray regularly, and they still wonder, isn't there supposed to be something more to all of this? I mean, I'm not saying that every day has to be a parade of miracles. Even in the Bible, most days were pretty normal. Yet God can break into our everyday world. Biblically, that was normal. But for too many of us today, it isn't. Much of the reason it's not normal for God to regularly break into our everyday world has to do with the legacy we received from the Age of Enlightenment. As a very good Christian author, Dr. Peter Lundell from the Fuller Theological Seminary in California, he explains it this way. The Enlightenment was primarily a philosophical movement that began in the 1700s, bridging the transition of world thought from the Renaissance to the industrial and modern ages. Enlightenment thinkers largely rejected previously held social, religious, and political ideas, and instead emphasized rationalism. Scientific reasoning became the primary way to gain and test knowledge and truth. This propelled the rise of modern science and brought about the current information era. Unfortunately, this thinking has not been friendly toward faith in general and the supernatural in particular, including prayer, the Holy Spirit, and spiritual experiences. It's a wonder that what began in the 1700s isn't called the Endarkenment, says Dr. Lundell. Christians unwittingly influenced by this thinking will often say they believe in the Bible, yet they ignore the implications and promises of all the biblical stories and teachings, right from Genesis through to Revelation. It's like, since the time of Abraham, some 4,000 years ago, the world operates one way, and then suddenly, in a short period of 250 years, reality is redefined to be what? Only that can be scientifically proven? Of course, the scientific mind scoffs at such rationale with the rebuttal that it is folly to view history in any way other than the natural progress that comes with an evolving species. Well, there's a lie from the pit of hell. I mean, tell me what's natural about progressing into a world where unborn babies are legally put to death, where an entertainment industry can portray every conceivable form of violence and perversion without censure or consideration for anything but profit, where handheld weapons designed to kill dozens of people in mere seconds can make it into the hands of sociopaths in the name of protecting our constitutional rights, where parental authority is being undermined so that fathers and mothers are beginning to lose their right to teach their own children about gender identity, and also where really dangerous drugs are being legitimized for their capacity to provide entertainment, recreation. I mean, come on. If we're serious about our Christian faith and our trust that God's redemptive plan for our world involves heaven coming to earth, we need to move past scientific thinking and begin to re-embrace thinking from the heart. We need to allow the Bible to inform our expectations more than our cultural conditioning does. And we need to expect things to change. Only then will we begin to see that the material world is just a part of reality. Angels and demons are very real and active, and God really does do supernatural works in our midst. The return to sanity begins when we embrace an urgent awareness of cultural conditioning and commence a return to biblical principles for how we live our lives and how we do church. Read the Gospels and the book of Acts for what Jesus and the Christians actually did. The lifestyles of owning only what we truly need, and the activities of healing, casting out demons, and trusting God for miracles are so foreign to many of us that we wouldn't even know where to begin. The New Testament clearly tells the church to function by spiritual gifts. Instead, we tend to function by committee at best, and worse, by mob rule. So how can each of us help to get back to the world God had planned for us? You know, it's more a matter of giving ourselves over to God than of taking more classes. I'm simply appealing for more believers to be willing to take God's legacy seriously. Understanding will follow willingness. People in this postmodern age are often skeptical and jaded. They won't respond much to Christian claims, and I don't blame them. They want to see something work, not just hear about it. They want something real, authentic, that takes them beyond themselves and is practiced in a community of people who care about each other. Well, that was exactly the model we saw in the New Testament. Today, there is much said about how churches need to reach into our government and business world and media and institutions to affect change in our culture. And I believe they do. But little today is said about how churches need to operate in the supernatural and train people to exercise their God-given spiritual gifts. Is that not also part of effective outreach? One of the hard things about operating in the supernatural, and a reason why a lot of us don't, is that we can't control it. But we're not supposed to control it. We can only seek it out and go with it when it manifests. This again is exactly what we see God intending in every story in the Bible. He intends that we humbly submit to Him and live by faith. Stepping beyond our conditioning can be hard, but if we're hungry enough for God, we'll do it. And yes, we will have to overcome doubts, unanswered prayer, and testing. We will have to go against the grain of the Enlightenment-influenced church. But when we do, we'll increasingly live with something better, the life-changing presence and the power of God.